Hello. Hello. I wanted to cover certain things in this video, and I'm not getting into the more basic stuff. I'm sure you can find all information that you need online, and it is about finding out these things and about what um, artificial intelligence is progressing like, and other such things that I wanted to talk about today. It's highly specialized information from ICT and related to technology. And I'm discussing these things because these apply to how you study for paper one for the exam, this exam, as well as civil services examination, the national exam, as well as state PSCs, public service commissions. So let's start with it. I'll select some slides. I've uploaded the slides here. Public English literature first things, and I'll just pick some slides and go through certain things that I would like you to pay special attention to, and that's more important than other things that you will have those in those slides. So yes, I'm gonna skip those things for now. Yeah, basic skills, ICT, and the internet. The internet is one of the most fascinating things you have today, and as you can see, you have what you can see, what you usually use, and you could come with all sorts of statistics and so on and so forth. So you could have only percentage of the internet is visible, and could go on. Yeah, 3% is what says here, and then LM's sources listed: Reddit, Wikipedia, and other databases, and so on. Reddit is the top source of information for LLMs, almost double of whatever else it is, and ranked most cited websites by AI models. And you can have so many things, so many things. So page 10 directly LLM ranking, it's added in the best 44 language models. That's way off of what we wanted. Local LLMs versus offline Wikipedia. This is the kind of thing I'd be interested in, because I want to tell you about AVIX, and I want to tell you about DPpedia. DPpedia is indexing Wikipedia, and the LLM phenomenon is just an index of databases, a database of databases, things like that. So database of database recursively in such complex combinations. That's the kind of that's the kind of thing I'm trying to convey. Again, this is way beyond imagination, because this is how much data is common crawl. So it's beyond anything one can imagine. You may not just grasp how large the common crawl data is, and so on and so forth. 3 TB was analyzed by this person. That's web scraping 1 year ago. Reddit, right? Exploring common crawl database, and 100 TB compressed. 100 TB, 100 terabytes is compressed. So this is what we are looking at, and it doesn't make sense when we speak of such things for one single human brain. So we are talking about supercomputers, and AI, and we are talking about NVIDIA Spark supercomputer. It's a supercomputer for AI research. Yeah, DGX Spark. Yes, this is the kind of thing we are looking at, and it's not comparable with the human brain. And I say so because context window of LLM. Maximum amount of text can processor remember at one time. The thing is, the human brain will not be able to remember 1 million words at any given time. That's the idea. How capacity human brain remember compared with LLM. So that's the kind of thing we are looking at. It's so many processing units connected. I would say not so many brains connected. That's an analogy. It doesn't make a lot of sense. That's why I'm wary of using it in such metaphorical sense. And metaphors is something that you must keep an eye on at all times. Again, this is AI throwing out information that it has collected from various databases and so on. So your brain on ChatGPT surpass human experts, things like that. Okay, limits of working memory, human brains versus AI models. So this is the kind of thing you have to think about when you're talking about what LLMs actually do when you use words like think and even process, if it's not just think. Also, LLMs is just lookup, information retrieval is the branch of knowledge in the hierarchy of disciplines, or whatever are disciplines, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so it's a different thing altogether to find out where it is located. Information retrieval is situated information sciences. I don't know where this comes across. Sorry, where this is actually coming from, but the word is ontology in computer science terms. Ontology, and you could look it up. Okay. So point being, we have philosophers saying things and then going back on these things, and Kivix is something that you'd use to access information online. You don't want to depend entirely on the internet. And the internet, as it is used today, is used for all sorts of purposes, nefarious ones included, bad purposes included. Bad purposes, AI used by companies finds finds ensuing, for example. So the point I'm trying to make is that you have to make sure that you're searching. See, this is AI giving me information about AI. That doesn't make sense because you're asking someone to testify against himself, which is not what you want. You're asking an accused to testify to self. It's a particular take the fifth is the expression. Okay, incriminate. Self incrimination is the expression. So no, this is not what I wanted. So for example, Deloitte is the name, but yes, company is fined for using AI. So that's something that's going on, right? And this will be there for some time to come. Point I'm trying to make here is, on these exams, on the UGC-NET, for example, or on PSCs and so on, and current affairs, you will have questions that check whether you know these concepts, whether you have an idea of what's going on, because nobody is going to ask you questions like, let's see what this server is all about. So nobody is going to ask you questions like, what is port 22 used for? But you can expect things like, what is a port in terms of computer networking? So that is where you have to limit yourself. You don't need to learn all sorts of ports and all sorts of technical details that you can find here, for example. You don't need to learn what Apache HTTPD is. You can have Apache server. You won't be asked such a question, but yes, you will have things like HTTP, but you will not have things like, what is HTTP 200, right, or HTTP 400. So that is what you're looking at. This is another port 9100, and you don't have to go through that. You do have to know what SSH might be, for example, or HTTP might be, or port is, and so on. So again, Shodan is not something that you want to use casually, so take extra care while going about these things, as I've said in the last video I made. So the internet is regulated by authorities to ensure that there is law observed, and there are incidents that you can look at, which very clearly tell you how crucial a role in the internet can play. So if you're using the social media to do certain things, you may or may not be exposing yourself to certain risks, both personal as well as national interests. National, so news.google.com, national interests and AI, national interests and artificial intelligence, India. So AI nationalism and multipolar future, unbundling openness, the geopolitics of code, artificial intelligence and the future of American soft power, the danger of yeah. So the point is, you would want to focus on things like Servam AI. You would want to focus on things like AI for Bharat. So these are the things you want to look at when you're preparing for exams such as civil services or national eligibility tests and so on and so forth. These are just pointers, and this is the sense of direction that you must have when you're preparing for such exams, and you have to maintain neutrality. You have to be careful as to what implications what you're stating may have. That's one. Kiwix is an index of databases that you can get information from. These databases can be general knowledge from Wikipedia, or can be technical Python documentation, programming languages, and documentation for other software, or anything else. So Zim files for Kiwix. So if you all sorts of Gutenberg books and free code camp material, and massive online courses and so on. And you have, for example, GitHub. This is what I wanted to show you. That's for some natural language processing project. So that's machine learning. What is machine learning? What it does it involve? What ML is? What the abbreviation ML is, and then what's the full form of GPT and so on. So full form is generative pre-trained transformer. And what is transformer architecture? What is transformer architecture? You won't need all of that, but yes, this is the idea. So editorials is what you look at. Editorials and such sections of newspapers is what you look at, and where information is coming from is very important. Okay, because sources of information to be trusted in the age of AI. Debates around such things is what you want to be looking at. Which information can be trusted in the age of AI, and who is this person you don't know. So if it's coming from the government, you'd want to trust it, but then you could say, okay, the government might be this way or that way, or you could say an infinite number of things. But point is, if it's coming from consilience, so, and this is what I've said before, if it's coming from multiple sources, there must be some verifiability and that's where fake news and misinformation, disinformation, I've mentioned those things in the slides. Okay, so what's the difference between fake news, misinformation, disinformation, and then what's propaganda, and whose narrative it is, whose narrative it is, and so on. So things like that. But you study all of that when you study literary theory, for example. Literary theory is just an extension of just a repackaging of literary criticism. So credibility in the age of artificial intelligence. So much around this whole thing. Ethics of artificial intelligence. I don't know what they are. But yes, that is there. Ethics of AI misinformation and the value of trust in news and so on and so forth. So trust in AI progress challenges and future directions. So much to talk about. Okay, so the internet is again. Um, just show you this. This is somewhere that you would find yourself if you're working with computer networks. I can say those things because I do have a background in it and I'm experienced enough in these things to be able to talk about them. And Tor browser, you might know about anonymity, and you might know about regulation of internet in various parts of the world and so on and so forth. So it's P2P sharing. That's what you'd look for. You would look for onion routing and things like that. You should know that these terms exist, and you should know that these things affect you today. So coming back to this, you're talking about all sorts of things that people who sit in control of things, authority, and sit in places where things are serious and not emojis and not the surface stuff, right? For example, net banking. Net banking is a very serious thing, and you're looking at financial implications of your online activity. So you want to be informed about how you use the internet, how it is used, how it can be used against you, and how you are being affected on a daily basis. For example, by using mobile devices, and for example, for another example, by using a mobile device versus using a computer. So this is the kind of thing that I would say awareness about technology in the age of IoT and AI is. Okay, so these are all topics for organizing debates around R. Okay, so you could actually have an essay, and you could actually have a lot of research on it, and combine it and post somewhere as your own thoughts, maybe at the very least. So Wikipedia, as you see here, it's on the top, and anyone can edit it, and whoever is allowed to on the Wikipedia members team, because it's contributed by volunteers across the world, and it's regulated, so it's moderated and so on and so forth. And Wikipedia is used. Wikipedia on AI using its see. Wikipedia urges AI companies to use its P8 API and stop scraping data from it and so on and so forth. Artificial intelligence and Wikimedia projects. Wikipedia asks, that's another thing, right? They're using artificial intelligence to generate text now for various purposes, including posts on Wikipedia, text and images and whatever their modality, videos and so on and so forth. Of course, there's deep fakes. So so many things. Yeah. and you want to be focusing on things which will have any, I mean, good chances of beating on the exam. And as you know, it has to be neutral in certain respects, and you have to take care of your time while reading as to the depth, because you have to read widely. You do not have to read after a certain amount of depth. Okay. At the same time, you have to be aware of certain things, and this is definitely one of them. So, existential threat to Wikipedia. See, and AI is changing the internet. How? So you could have things on AI is changing the way interact was fine. Yeah, how AI is transforming the internet landscape, such things. Yeah, yeah. So New York Times and so on and so forth, MIT Technology Review. So what you're talking about is what technology looks like, especially since the advent of this breakthrough in statistics, or deep learning to be specific. Uh, and deep learning is a branch of statistics, and it's again related to machine learning and so on and so forth. So it's so many calculations that you wouldn't be able to do them in any amount of time if you were to do them by hand. And that's why we've had computers, and that's why we have so much research that now there are more and more retractions. Retractions by statisticians, by researchers using statistics as the basis is one, and then there is retractions by philosophers. And one could question where these things have their cause, right? So, for example, in the end, you could always say, okay, a scientist or a philosopher or any expert, after all, this expert or scientist or philosopher is human. And then we are talking about what's then the guarantee, or what's then the point of having such research papers published, such expositions given, or such books written where people say things, and then Wittgenstein Stein versus Freud. Okay, so Wittgenstein was someone who did not spend a lot of time in public. He did not want to involve with other people and so on and so forth. That's what I've known about Wittgenstein. And Freud, on the other hand, was popular. So the point I'm trying to make is that you have to have uh, your understanding of what these things mean, and how much weight you would give to artificial intelligence using information from such sources where these sources themselves change, right? That kind of thing. So Wittgenstein's and Wittgenstein earlier and latter. That's another thing. Wittgenstein also changed his position. So that's the kind of thing that you have to think about when you're talking about how information is produced, how knowledge is added to, how new meaning or modified meaning is given, and so on and so forth. So this is related to literature, the study of literature, to paper two as well, when you are talking about critical theory, or I should say literary theory, because literary theory and critical theory are different. Again, literary theory is a repackaging of literary criticism. Okay, so coming back to this, statistics about the internet in 2026. Share of population using the internet. So such statistics will give you an insight into what different parts of the world are like, in terms of, for example, India is 43% of the population, and Ireland is 95% of the population, right? So things change in these two contexts. And why would you want every single person on earth to use the internet? That is again discuss, right? So this is the kind of thing that you're looking at, and you should be able to argue. Argumentation is the word. Argumentation. Okay. um, you could start with Plato. Argument and argumentation, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, is the first result, and I've mentioned this in the slides. And there's so much. Thing is, argumentation, history of history of argument, teaching students critical analysis. So as you can see, it's pointing you into directions which involve the study of critical look at a text. So literary criticism again, right? And if you go through the syllabus, you'll find those things there. So for example, and this is a key slide. This is a key slide that you want to look at on these 29 slides or so. And ML is machine learning. Ngrams is part of this statistics, deep learning, and things like that. And GitHub is, I've already shared this GitHub. So topic modeling using BERT. GPT is one model, BERT is another model. They are statistical models, mathematical models. Model is basically, this is how you arrange things to be able to. You could think of it as a machine. So this is how we arrange the blocks in the machine, the parts of the machine. So to get this output for this input, and so on and so forth. The BERT didn't succeed, GPT did, and that's one way of doing things versus another way of doing things as far as statistics. This um, in this area is concerned, not at this level, and in this area is concerned. So vocabulary, knowledge economy, right? That is what you want to look at. That's something that informs all of this that I'm saying here, and all of this that you can see about the internet, and so on, so forth. So for example, why would you want to use internet? I would have as its background the requirement of generating revenue, and that would be part of knowledge economy. Knowledge economy definitely has a share in all of this. So source of information and the evaluation, working with information. These are some slides I'll continue to look at in the coming videos. But yeah, so which authors to read? So Seneca, Plutarch, they are Latin authors, and so Shakespeare's sources, for example, right? Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is, so for example, Shakespeare's sources for King John. I'm taking up anything at all, anything that comes along. So yeah, so you could have a look at this, and this is just one resource. You could have all those resources. So I've been talking about open source Shakespeare and open source Shakespeare, and you should read about the work. So open source Shakespeare, about OSS. This, the point I'm trying to make is, that there's certain core body of text that you have to read for the exam, and this applies to paper one also. And in paper one, where current affairs is concerned, you have to follow certain topics in, for example, higher education in India. Higher education in India. You follow that as a topic to revisit every so often. News.google.com. You could have an RSS feed or something like that, or Google News. Okay, so that's the kind of thing you want to do. You have to be updated on these things, on the developments as to what the University Grants Commission and other bodies which are relevant to our purposes are doing as we prepare for the exam. For example, for the national eligibility test. And for now, I'll rest here and I'll let you do some homework following this. Find out more about the internet, find out more about these things, sources of information, and how you can evaluate them, and find out more about knowledge economy. Find out more about vocabulary. That's important. Vocabulary that you need to know. So you can have all sorts of words, and Shakespeare knew 20k words, right? More than 20,000 words in his plays and poems. So at a given time, how many words at a given time, over a span of 6 months, how much does the human brain, much vocabulary remember, that kind of thing. So this is getting into information that's not generally given out, because this fuels economic considerations, like business logic, that kind of thing. Okay, so you will not be given certain business secret. It's called business secret. That's another term, another phrase bank, phrase collections for NLP and LLM. So that is about data that you use to generate information from that data. It can be text, which is what your ChatGPT and other commercial products are doing, or it can be other kinds of information about these phrases and so on. Words, so adjectives, nouns, verbs, and I'm talking about phrases instead, right? NLP data is just for idiom and figurative language tasks. See, so this is where, for example, in literature, fiction, and computer science, and LLMs, and statistics, and ontology, and these topics from philosophy all converge, all come together, all intersect, right? Business secret. What's a business trade secret, right? Trade secret and business logic and information that's not generally highlighted, that's kept under the wraps, that's not made popular, the frequency of which is kept very low, because if you are thinking about those things, you will not be generating revenue for people who want you to generate revenue for them, that kind of thing. So anyway, that's it. That's a way of starting out with these areas of study, and this is the very start. This is the very start of critical thinking, critical analysis, and reading comprehension and argumentation and so on. Okay, so I'll continue in other videos, videos to come, and we'll discuss more of these things. And so I've already said things like database of database of database, right? And then graph of databases, graph as in mathematical graph. What is a graph database, right? So that kind of thing. Six graph database use cases with examples and so on and so forth. So that's again that is algebraic, abstract algebra, abstract category theory. So more and more into philosophy, getting more and more into philosophy, right? This kind of thing, yeah. So the other day I was looking at it, and it was so you can find out more about this abstract, where all of this is located. When we are talking about the maths for large language models, it's linear algebra we're looking at, but this is a completely different thing. See why it's trendy? It's already trendy, right? So where is it located in the hierarchy of mathematical studies? So that kind of thing. See, a Neo4j, what is a graph database? So this is what is the state of the art at the moment, and you should be able to, develop an interest in these things if you want to keep abreast of what's going on with technology as it is growing, and this is going to change how the internet looks, for example. Okay, so yeah, make a phrase book of. So yeah, that is a very good idea. Okay, so for now I'll limit it to this, and I'll soon come up with another video that touches upon other things, and we'll keep discussing this. Thank you for watching.